After a 6-day vacation, the Nashville Predators are back and they get the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll see if the Preds can pull out an upset win, plus some players to watch today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free Nashville Predators podcast, available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor at ontheforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
Well, did you enjoy your second week-long break from Predators hockey in as many weeks?
Yeah, there's a little expected and scheduled dip in the action. So yeah, it was much better than the unexpected dip in the action when we were like, what's happening? Is there a game tomorrow? There's not a game tomorrow. Is there going to be a game on Tuesday? There is a game on. So this was a little bit easier on the schedule. Yeah, definitely. How about you?
And I didn't have tickets to a game during this unexpected time frame, which I did last time. So
I know, that's so awful. It's so awful. I really do feel awful about that kind of stuff, and I'm sure the Preds do too. But gosh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, this is like my senior year of college, where it's like I'll go an entire week without showing up to class, then just like jump in for 2 days, ace an exam, and then miss another whole week.
Yeah.
I'm advocating that, kids.
My children will not be listening to today's podcast. Thank you very much.
It works out.
Yeah.
Hey, the Nashville Predators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, 3-time reigning Eastern Conference champions. They got 2 Stanley Cups in that run as well. The Predators have not played very well against the Tampa Bay Lightning over the past few years. They are 8-2 over their last 10 games against the Lightning. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like whenever they play, or at least in years past, like the Lightning always just kind of look one step ahead of them. But if you remember, Ann, a couple of weeks ago, these two teams played at Bridgestone Arena, and the Predators, I think, played pretty well. Now,
they did.
Say whatever you will about maybe some of the analytics of that game, but the Predators held strong for a lot of the game. They capitalized on some chances, and if it really wasn't for just kind of a weird deflection, probably had a chance to win that game. Tampa Bay tied it with like 3 minutes left.
Yes, and they could have won it in overtime, but again, Steven Stamkos is why Nashville does not have nice things. Can we just put it out there? I'm not advocating for disliking Steven Stamkos, but also let's hold him accountable for ruining just little glimpses and little pockets of fun we could have when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning, because he did win it in overtime. Mattias Ekholm, my great Swedish brethren, committed a penalty because Stamkos stole the puck and was making a breakaway shot, and then in overtime on the man advantage, because we like a complicated storyline here at Locked On Predators.
Still the weirdest high sticking penalty I think I've ever seen in the NHL.
Yeah. If you're gonna high stick somebody, just really take a whack at it. In that situation, not advocating for violence, but
yeah, that was like the meme of the 2 dogs with one like hitting the other with a little bat going bonk.
Yes.
That was a bonk. That wasn't like a high stick where it's
No.
like you're battling and you get somebody in the face. It's like Mattias Ekholm was like bringing Steven Stamkos into like knighthood in Sweden or something like that.
100%. Where I come from and where Mattias comes home, it's really considered a blessing, folks.
Yeah, like Mattias Ekholm had like a giant robe or something that he was put on him after that.
He would be a fantastic ghost in A Christmas Carol. Mattias Ekholm would. Wouldn't he be a great ghost in a velvet fur-trimmed robe.
Which ghost are we talking about? Are we talking past, present, or future?
There was one in particular that dressed like that in my George C. Scott, F. Scott Fitzgerald version, but I can't remember which ghost it was.
I assume it's got to be present, right? Because he's like the jolly one.
Yeah, because future is the scary one with the finger and the doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is. Yeah, he would be a great ghost of Christmas present.
Yeah. Who would be the ghost of Christmas future on the Preds? Is that like Joachim Kondelik?
I was going to say Juuso Parssinen, or like Joachim Kimmel.
He's too jolly, and he's only like 6'3", so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
we would need someone extra tall.
Yeah. Kondelik's got it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this game tonight. Scouting the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's kind of hard to sort of judge them this year. They're 15-9-1, which is fantastic. They are on a 7-3 run, although they did lose to Detroit the other night. Their metrics they're good. Like, they're good on the power play. They're like in the top 10 in the NHL in scoring, but you watch them in some of these games this year, and it's like, it looks like they're just kind of a step off from where they were last year. And it's hard because I'm not sure why. Andrei Vasilevsky got off to kind of a bad start. He's played better over the last little bit, but like the defense in front of him, especially, just it doesn't seem to have kind of clicked yet this season. And that's kind of like one of my big keys is the Tampa Bay Lightning, for as good as they are, there are games this season where they're prone to a lot of really, really good chances. And we saw that in Detroit the other night. Like, the Lightning put like 40-something shots on goal. But if you watch the first two periods, they also gifted Detroit a lot of really good chances, and Detroit was able to capitalize early. So it's weird because this Lightning team, they're still a dominant team. Like, all of their key guys are on fire right now, but you watch them and it's like, this doesn't look like that invincible sort of team that we've used to seeing the past couple of years.
Yeah, and I think we saw glimpses of that too in the November game against the Predators, because usually, like you say, in years past, when you watch the Predators and the Lightning, what you know you're going to see are the Tampa Bay Lightning skating circles around the Nashville Predators. They just are a faster team. They capitalize very quickly on things. And you didn't necessarily see them running away with the game and dictating the pace of the game in November like we're used to seeing with them. And in my mind, I'm like, maybe that's the Nashville Predators. But I also, as you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, you look at their schedule, you look at some of their past games, it may also be a Tampa Bay Lightning problem. Just a little one. Let's not kid ourselves. Tampa Bay, like you said, they're still Tampa Bay. They're third in the Atlantic, I think they're tied for third in the Atlantic, but the Atlantic division is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But there are some opportunities. It looks almost like maybe there are opportunities against Tampa Bay that Nashville really hasn't had an opportunity to capitalize on before, because Tampa Bay is one of those speed teams, and speed teams can be kryptonite for Nashville.
Yeah. We're going to talk about what the Preds need to do to get the win tonight in Tampa Bay, and a couple of players you think might have big nights. Going to do that in a second, but first want to mention today's show brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football, basketball, soccer, esports, and of course, hockey. They got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts like the one you're listening to right this very second, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They will keep you up to speed on everything you need to know so you can win a little bit of money when you're watching these games. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fixed. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Ann. $1 million question. You're watching these teams, you're watching all these players, a lot of big name players on both sides of the ice. Who do you think is going to step up and have a big game tonight? Who's your player to watch?
I know this seems like I'm just going for the easy answer, but I really do think that this is going to be a huge part of the answer if Nashville wins. And for me, it's UC Saros. We have seen, I know it's the gimme. I'm taking the freebie, but I also stand by it.
Take the points.
I take the points.
Take the layup.
Because really and truly, UC Saros is coming into his game. He's coming in, we had some concerns early in the season. We're just going to be honest with you, but UC Saros has really kind of come into his own. And that November game against Tampa Bay is kind of where we really started to see it. And that's what's going to have to happen. Like you said, in the Detroit game, Tampa Bay put up like 45 shots, 44 shots, just an obscene amount of shots. An obscene amount of them came in the third period. I think they had like 28 shots in the third period or some absolutely redonkulous number like that. So this is going to be a 60-minute UC Saros-a-thon for the Nashville Predators. But having said that, what really needs to happen in this game is the defense in front of him has got to help out. And this is one of those games, setting aside the emotional component, setting aside the amazing storyline component, this is going to be a game where the Predators are really going to miss Ryan McDonagh.
Yes. No, yeah. Absolutely. You're absolutely right on that, because Ryan McDonagh has kind of been the anchor for that top line. That top line has done a lot better defensively.
Yes.
Over the past couple of weeks, and that's been a big thing that's gone into Nashville's success. And without Ryan McDonagh as that anchor, we're still at the time of this recording, still unsure what that defensive pairing is going to look like. Is Jordan Gross going to step in like to McDonagh's spot? Is either Dante Fabro or Alexander Carrier going to bump up in the lineup? So we're not exactly sure what the Preds are going to do, but whoever it is,
it's not Ryan McDonagh.
This game especially is going to be the ultimate test as to who they are in the player, because you go up and down the lineup. Steven Stamkos is red hot right now.
Yes.
Got a big point streak going. Nikita Kucherov is on a big run. Braden Point is starting to score a lot. He's got goals in 5 of his last 6 games. So whoever it is, Tampa is going to start throwing everything they can, especially those top 2 lines. A lot of players, with 20 plus points on that team this season. So it's going to be a crapshoot, and it's just one of those things where it's like, of course, this stretch of the season is when Ryan McDonagh goes down, because you look beyond Tampa, and we got Colorado coming up twice. We got Dallas. We got Vegas and
Edmonton twice. When isn't that fun?
Yeah, well, it hasn't been fun for quite some time now.
Yeah. This is not an ideal time to lose Ryan McDonagh, not just defensively, but also I feel like he really frees up Roman Josi to do Roman Josi things, because you just have such a reliable defender with Josi. So this is going to be this is going to be a sad game without McDonagh in the lineup for a number of reasons.
Yeah, and that's kind of the underrated point too, is having that anchor. We talked about McDonagh being that anchor for Josi. Is Roman Josi going to have to play a little bit a different style of game now? And if so, that's a big thing, because he is on a bit of a points run right now and starting to heat up. So, if he gets kind of, I guess, anchored back or has to play different, is that going to cut some of the Preds' offensive chances out? But again, UC Saros to me is that's going to be the big difference maker, because it's inevitable. Tampa is going to get some periods where they're just throwing everything they can on it and just kind of dominating long stretches of play. UC Saros has to be on his P's and Q's tonight. We assume it's UC Saros.
Yes.
After a 6-game break. I would assume maybe you see Kevin Lankinen on Saturday just because that's a afternoon game. So there's a little bit less of rest time, but
Yeah.
I would assume it's UC Saros
I
tonight.
would assume so, but we'll see. David
Yeah.
Poyle and John Hines are going to do their thing, but I would assume it's Saros. Who else is a player that you think really has got to step up tonight for Nashville if they're going to be competitive in this game?
You know what's funny? We have been talking about this guy not being effective for a while now. And then I was working on something for On the Forecheck with, him on Twitter as Chicken and Stats. He's a big stats guy for the Predators. Yeah. We looked at the game of Tanner Jeannot.
Oh, yeah.
And because he came in this as it's like, okay, like clearly he doesn't have the same impact as he's had last year. What's up with this game? Does something need to change? And we look at his numbers, and a lot of sort of the possession metrics and scoring chances and stuff like that. Not only is it still on par from last year, but he's actually better.
Yeah.
And that's something. It's weird. That was a stat that took me by surprise. Is in terms of creating scoring chances, creating offense, getting pucks on net, getting quality scoring chances. Tanner Jeannot is actually better than he was last year, and it's weird that hasn't exactly translated to on ice success. He's only got 5 points this year, 3 goals. Remember, this was a guy who was in the Rookie of the Year discussion for a long time last year. He only has 1 point. 1 point since October 27th. And it's just bizarre that he would improve upon a lot of things he did really well last year and just not see success. And I don't know if it's just this is kind of going to be like the style he plays, like that grinder where, he's creating chances, but he's not exactly like the play facilitator. I don't know if he's just snake bitten at this point where a lot of the stuff he's creating isn't going into the net. But this can be a chance for Tanner Jeannot tonight to kind of change that because for as good as Tampa is, for as much depth as they have maybe in their, top 2 lines, there is an opening in those bottom 2 lines for Tampa Bay. That fourth line, especially the one with Corey Perry and Pat Maroon on it, it's a little, they're gritty, they're the veterans, but they're also a little bit slow. And you put somebody like against Tanner Jeannot, who not only can outskate some of those guys, but also has that physicality to kind of match up with that line. This can be an opportunity for him to take advantage. And when those pairings are on the ice together, Jeannot might get some offensive zone starts or kind of on the Preds side of the neutral zone. So there's going to be some opportunities there for Tanner Jeannot to step up and make a play. And I think, look, if the Preds big guns are probably going to get their chances, the Tampa big guns are going to get their chances. What are the depth players going to do? Because if the Preds can win that battle while UC Saros does enough to contain the Lightning's big guns, there's an opening for the Preds to win this game. And there's an opportunity for Tanner Jeannot to really make an impact.
I think Tanner Jeannot is such an interesting study this season because, like you said, he on the scoreboard, on the just your basic points stat column, not impressive. And here's one of my Tanner Jeannot questions for you. Why is Tanner Jeannot not on the power play? Do you remember at the beginning of the season? Do you remember in preseason, we would see him on the power play? They were kind of tinkering around with it. Tanner Jeannot net front on the power play. How I missed that. And
he was on the power play a bunch last year too, like towards the end of the year.
And I get, when he's not producing at 5-on-5, when you have somebody who is not, scoring goals at 5-on-5, maybe that kind of takes them out of the power play conversation. On the other hand, I'm like, why would we not want to get his game going on the power play? Stick him in there on the second unit. Let's all just admit that the second unit could use a little Tanner Jeannot and see what happens. See if that can get his game jump started. This is one of my Tanner Jeannot things lately is let's see him on the power play.
Yeah.
When
Well,
John Hines calls this afternoon, I'll drop that in his ear.
yeah, make sure you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, Colton Sissons has been kind of the guy,
Yeah.
the net front guy on that second line.
Cody Glass has been net front on the power play
Cody Glass has gotten some time. I think even
Rappy little fella.
Mark Jankowski and Cole Smith have each gotten some time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a little bit unusual that Tanner Jeannot, a former 20-plus goal scorer, maybe not getting some opportunities there because, look, he's not a sniper. He's by no means going to be like the guy that, just picks top shelf every single time.
Right.
But, he's good at getting those dirty goals, and he's really good around the front of the net. So I'm not exactly sure there either.
Yeah.
But yeah, very surprised to see at least the analytics favoring Tanner Jeannot. Maybe this is a game where he becomes, quote unquote, more noticeable.
Yeah. It would be great. Look, we've talked about players that I think need to step up. We're going to talk about what are the keys to the game for the Nashville Predators. And Nick, I have a dad's trip question for you coming up in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. But first, want to thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen today. For your second listen, go and check out Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today covers all of the sports, all of the leagues, and they have all of the games that matter the most. They have the biggest stories happening in sports. Locked On Sports Today is going to bring you past the scoreboard and inside the scenes with local experts who have insight that only Locked On can provide. So go and check out Locked On Sports Today. It's available on this app, on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Ann, we talked about some players that we think we're watching. What do you think is going to be a key to the Preds Lightning tonight? What do you think is going to sway this game?
Yeah, here's just, and I feel like I say this every time we talk about keys to a game, but I mean, it's just what's real, friends. You got to stay out of the box. Tampa Bay, fourth best power play in the league. There is no reason for Nashville to be in the penalty box. There were a lot of penalties when they played Tampa Bay earlier on. And special teams just could really be a storyline in this game. So let's eliminate the negative storylines. Stay out of the box, play a clean game. That doesn't mean don't play a physical game, but Nashville needs to clean up any sort of sloppy penalties. There is no reason to give them not only a man advantage opportunity, but the momentum swing that you get with a power play. Flip side of that, let's see what Nashville's power play does. Like Nashville's power play, I had to look this up last night because there is I thought it was a nursery rhyme, but here it's actually a poem about, I know it hurts you to even
about
hear
the
me.
Nashville power play?
It is. I'm telling you, this Henry Watts, I think it was Longfellow, wrote this poem 857 years ago, and it's as true about the Nashville Predators today as it was about the little girl with the curl, where they talk about when she was good, she was very, very good. But when she was bad, she was horrid. And I'm like, if that is not the summary of the Nashville Predators power play, when it is good, it is very, very good. I mean, when Philip Forsberg, they pass it around quickly and you get Philip Forsberg open for his wrist shot, it's very, very good. When you get a rebound shot and they have somebody net front, it's very, very good. When they can't get it in the zone, it is horrid.
Yeah.
And so let's see the very, very good Nashville Predators power play tonight. Thank you. I think Longfellow. I'll have to look it up to be sure, but thank you.
Wadsworth Longfellow?
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
Huh.
He was writing about the Nashville Predators power play.
Big Nashville Predators fan, that Henry.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, up there with John Faulkner. William Faulkner. Who's John Faulkner? There's somebody named John Faulkner.
I believe you. I mean, there's got to be someone named John Faulkner.
Yeah. If you're listening, John Faulkner, you're not William, but hey.
But we think you're great.
Yeah.
We hope you're a fan.
We talked about the Predators cleaning it up defensively and, trying to limit some of the big chances. The big key for the Predators tonight is you got to win those neutral zone puck battles. Those are pretty much key to bringing momentum because, there's a lot of those, transition game, puck gets knocked around or doesn't get dumped all the way. And it's just kind of, sitting there for the taking or, neutral zone faceoffs or stuff like that. That is going to be key for the Nashville Predators to win those battles, because if you can win that battle and then take that puck down in the other end, that's key. Even if it's just, Tampa Bay's trying to get their power play going and they're skating through the neutral zone, if you can get it and just swat it down in the other end, that takes precious 10, 15 seconds off that power play.
Yeah, 100%.
And for the Preds, look, Tampa Bay is a team, I watched them the other night, and they're not, when they have the puck, it kind of goes back to that John Faulkner, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow poem we were talking about earlier. It's like when the Lightning have the puck in the offensive zone, they're golden. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of passing around. You get some good looks in the net. But one thing I've noticed about Tampa this year is they've sometimes have trouble getting it down there because they're prone to a lot of giveaways, especially in transition. And so to me, if the Preds can kind of take advantage of that, take advantage of those Lightning turnovers, win some of those puck battles in the neutral zone, and then all of a sudden you've got a chance to set up for some offense the other way, that's big. And that could be one of those puck battles in the neutral zone. Maybe it leads to a 3-on-2 the other way. Maybe it just leads to some sustained pressure for the Preds. That can be the opening for the Preds to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. And it very much against a team like Tampa Bay, little things are going to matter in this game. There's not going to be they're not going to give the Nashville Predators any freebies. So I agree. It's little things like that that are going to make the difference tonight. Tonight is also, I don't know if you know this, Nick, tonight is the Nashville Predators dad's trip, which I find these dad-mom trips outrageously delightful. And if ever they needed a mom to step in, if there's a mom that can't come from overseas, I just want to volunteer as tribute to be somebody's mom on one of these trips. So the dads are heading to Tampa Bay for the Lightning game tonight with their sons. I don't know if you saw the Nashville Predators posted a couple of videos of some of the players and their dads getting on the plane. And here's one thing I have to say. Matt Duchene looks exactly like his dad. And Kevin Lankinen looks exactly like his dad. Like, I would love to line up the dads and the players and see if we could match them up, because those two right there, I'm like, wow, spitting image. But my question for you, Nick, if you were the dad of a Nashville Predator, what trip would you want to go on? Where would you want to go for your dad's trip? Because here's the downside of being a Predator. Everybody's dad and mom trip wants to come to Nashville. Like, let's just be real. I mean, this is the spot that they come to because we're just that fun. So
we had a dad's trip, didn't we? Was it Arizona who came to Nashville? I think
it might have been. It was somebody, and we've had several moms trips here too over the last couple of seasons. But Nashville has it rough. Like, where do you go when you're already the best place for fun to visit? So where would you want to go? Would you want to go to Tampa Bay?
Tampa's great.
Is it?
I mean, I've been there. It's fun. I mean, Vegas, I feel like would be an easy one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to do there.
That's
even
true.
if you're not like a gambler, there's lots of shows and fun stuff. I mean, to make no mistake, there's probably some Preds just dressed in a tuxedo at the high rollers table.
Yeah. When my husband and I were on our honeymoon 857 years ago, right when Longfellow wrote that poem, we got up at, or John Faulkner, we got up at like 5 a.m. because we stayed on Eastern time and we're going to the breakfast buffet. And who did we see gambling at 5 a.m. at MGM? Jaromir Jagr.
Oh.
Yeah. Fun little thing. I was like, that guy looks so familiar. How in the world would I know a guy sitting at a table in Vegas? And my husband's like, he plays hockey, which at that time I was like, huh. But living in Pittsburgh, it finally clicked. Yeah, Jaromir Jagr. So Vegas is a good one. I would
Oh.
go to New York.
That's a fun one too.
Yeah. Like I would go to New York and I would make the hockey team go to a Broadway show with me.
Which Broadway show?
Oh my gosh, so many to choose from. Well,
I'm
I
sure
don't know.
the Preds players would absolutely love that.
Yes, I mean, what wouldn't they want to see on Broadway? But wouldn't it be fun to take them to Broadway? I would go, it's not on Broadway, I don't think anymore, but I would make them go see Six, the musical. It's a musical about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. And it is so good.
I thought it was about Toronto.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
But they should make a musical about it.
Also, side note, you know the old trope that's like all hockey wives look alike? I think we need to change that to all hockey dads look alike.
I would
It's like they all fall into like 3 categories. Like the bald, muscular with glasses, the tall and thin with glasses and like the gray, like kind of little short spike.
Yeah.
And then like the players that look exactly like their dads.
Yeah.
There's
for real.
3 categories.
Yeah. I would like if we could get the Nashville Predators to just get us a group photo, we could go through and just classify our Preds dads.
I'm sure you will probably find that.
Yeah.
Predators versus Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, live from Tampa. We have a 6 p.m. Central puck drop, so a early game for everybody. And we'll be here tomorrow to break that all down. I will be off for the next 2 days, so Anne will get to hold down the fort. But be sure you're tuning in tomorrow for post-game on that as well. Anne, give yourself a plug. In the meantime, where can they find your work?
You can find my work at InsideThePreds.com, and you can find me on Twitter at AnnK_Mama on Ice.
You can find me at ontheforecheck.com or wingingitInMotown.com, or follow me on Twitter at _NSMorgan. However you are listening to this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to subscribe so you'll always know when we have new episodes out for you. And also rate us, leave us a comment, really helps us out. That's going to do it for us today on the Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Back tomorrow with Preds Lightning's recap. See you then.